Welcome, this is CNB. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Partnkar. Now, you've been hearing about how Mercedes-Benz India decided to productionize its electric platform here in India. The EQS is the flagship car, and it's a review you've seen on the program. But that was from Germany. Now it's time to bring you the made in India version of the EQS. Ameya Naik has the review.
Mercedes' onslaught into the electric space continues, and as promised, the company now added the EQS 580 to its lineup.
Now, the last time I drove an EQS, it was the AMG, the 53.4 to be exact. Now I meet it again, but in a different avatar. This is the 580, exactly the one that Siddharth drove in Germany and spoke at length about. Now, that is why I am not going to talk about the design of this car. Yes, it is the most aerodynamic car in the world. Point two is the coefficient drag. And you see it in the proportions, you see it in the way it's molded. And you basically understand that yes, it is a sleek car. But you know what? I'm going to talk about something that might affect you in your daily life. This bonnet won't open. So for those taking this car to say a mall or well your daily chores or to a hotel, tough luck convincing the security guys to tell them that sorry, this does not open and it's only the boot that does. So well, that's on you now. Now this EQS is very special because it is the first time that a luxury car maker is making a car in India. Yes, this will be assembled at the Chakan facility in Pune, and well, there's so much to talk about because this car, it will be a completely different breed when compared to an AMG. But well, let's see how the India spec version drives and what we feel about it. So let's get to it.
Now, Siddharth already drove the car in Germany, but this time around, I got a chance to drive it on Indian roads.
Now the EQS 580 gets a 107.8 kilowatt hour battery. That is actually good enough for 516 brake horsepower, and there's 855 Newton meters of peak torque on offer. Now that torque, obviously, like all electric cars, is available from the word go. 4.3 seconds is what it takes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. And yes, this is a car that is 5.2 meters long. Remember that. So it has to haul all that weight, and that is done in just 4.3 seconds. Top speed 210 kilometers per hour. And you do feel the weight sometimes when you are in traffic and you want to cross. You have to make that decision and you have to understand that it's a long car. That's when it comes to you. But otherwise, if you sit right here up front, it doesn't seem like a big car. It's so maneuverable, it's so much fun to drive, and really, I mean, it really drives like a Mercedes, and nothing other than that comes to mind. It's fun to drive, it's absolutely engaging, keeps you on your toes every single time, and all around it's just packed with luxury and really right up there when it comes to standards and benchmark settings in the EV business.
The big USP that Mercedes-Benz will tom-tom about is the all-electric range. And that's 857 kilometers on a single charge. And yes, that's ARAI certified, which makes it the EV with the longest range currently in the country. Given that the rains had just battered the roads recently, I was definitely curious to know about how the EQS would fare on bad roads, and does it have enough ground clearance?
Of course, a luxury EV how does it handle and what's the ride like? Well, the ride in this one is sublime, because you know what, this one gets air suspension. Now that air suspension is actually limited to just 500 units, which will basically come standard on 500 units in India, and will be given to the first 500 consumers of the EQS 580. Beyond that, well, it will be available as an option. So yes, the airmatic suspension does make a lot of difference, because it soaks in all the bumps with such ease and it just glides over everything. Now, this is not the first car that gets the airmatic suspension, but we've experienced it before, and as always, it does not disappoint. The one thing that does hurt a bit is basically the car is a little low, and so when there are big bumpers, it actually ends up hitting the underbody, so scraping the underbody a bit. So there is an option to that. You can raise the suspension by 15 millimeters, but you have to be very careful every single time you want to cross a big bump. Now, if you raise the suspension a bit by 15 millimeters, then that issue is somewhat solved. But well, every time you have to go to, say, the functions and then raise the suspension, and obviously kind of gingerly go through the bumps. But overall, even if it comes to the big potholes on the roads, the EQS handles it with ease. It's just the longer wheelbase of the car makes it a bit vulnerable, so to say, to the big bumps on the road.
The airmatic suspension will be available as an option, I feel. But Mercedes-Benz India says that it will be dependent on the response they get from the consumers. What has impressed the customers though is the cabin. While the AMG variant gets a sporty cabin, the EQS 580 is more about luxury and opulence.
Now we've seen this interior in a lot of our videos, because it's the same massive big hyper screen that you get. You also get new two interior color tones. One is the grey and the brown, and the other is the beige and the brown. This one is the grey and the brown, and it looks nice, it looks opulent. There's so many nice touches, like this wooden bit that you have here just gives you that extra luxury quotient. You even get that wood in right here on the door handles, so it is actually pretty nice. Overall though, I think this is going to be pretty difficult to clean, because you know what, all of this is going to be a magnet for dust and grime, and I shudder to think how it's going to be kept clean. But that apart, it looks brilliant. It's so intuitive. We've spoken at length about how this 56-inch hyper screen is, how intuitive it is, and what kind of technology powers it. You get the Mercedes Me connected car technology as well. So everything is now at your fingertips. It's just Mercedes trying to give you the ultimate level of comfort, and this EQS really brings that out.
We of course needed more time with the hyperscreen because the functionalities run as deep as a rabbit hole. You also get the Mercedes Me connectivity features, which we have seen in most of the new cars from Mercedes-Benz India. The rear seat is also a good place to be in.
Now the rear seat is extremely comfortable, and that is because there's sheer space on offer. Now this seat has been adjusted according to my driving judgment. So I have enough and more knee room. There's good headroom, and there's just so much shoulder room. It's like, I'm in the lap of luxury, just like what you'd feel in an S-Class. And of course, you get the panoramic sunroof, which has the nice glass area effect and which is why it makes it even more airy. Now there are controls as well right here for your comfort. So yes, you get ventilated seats, and even you can change the seat positionings. Now what I fail to understand is, sitting at the back you do not get massage seat functions. Now I mean, if you're buying this car, you are going to have a chauffeur driven car, right? So obviously you're going to spend a lot of time at the back, and here you do not get massage seat functions. That, according to me, is a big miss given how much technology drives this car. It just is a big miss, and we really wish Mercedes-Benz India would at least bring it in as an option. Having said that, other than that, I have no complaints back here because it is the place to be in the EQS.
But Mercedes is of the opinion that with all the EQS has to offer, consumers will want to drive it and not be driven in it. I don't buy that argument. On the safety front, there's a lot this car has. It's got a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, 9 airbags are standard, and of course, level 2 ADAS technology. And yes, it works very well in India. The company has already received a phenomenal response to the AMG 53 version, and all the cars have been sold out. Priced at 1 crore 55 lakh rupees, the EQS is less expensive than the S-Class, and that's done on purpose. Mercedes wants the Indian consumers to view the EQS not as an electric version of the S-Class, but a luxurious EV which will make you want to drive it and have fun too. Given that the company has received a strong demand for the EQS, we think that it's made a case for the car here in India. Whether it's a car that should be driven and not driven in, well, that's where my opinion sways, because if you buy a car that costs over 1 crore rupees, then I want to sit in the back and relax and not be bothered with the traffic conditions or anything else the road throws at me. So for me, it's still the EV version of the S-Class, and like the ICE version, manages to set benchmarks in this segment.
Welcome back to CNB. Tall snow-capped mountains, fresh air, beautiful sights and sounds, and a whole lot more is what Team CNB experienced during Tata Motors' Soul Drive event. What is the Soul Drive event all about? Well, it's a lot of fun, a lot of exhilaration and a great experience, and we had a Tata Safari along for the ride.
Imagine you're in the midst of mountains, breathing in the freshest of air and just soaking in the sights and sounds, forgetting your worries for a moment. Well, this is exactly what Tata Motors has in mind with its SUV Owners United League program, or SOUL.
So the last 3-4 months have been quite hectic. Shoot schedule, and with the new website layout coming up, it's been quite a lot, and I really needed a break. So what better than a Soul Drive, and the companion of course is the Tata Safari with me. Looking forward to a great adventure and quite a few firsts that I have been promised.
On day 1, we drove straight for 280 kilometers from Chandigarh to Manali, which was the base camp. The next day, we spent exploring Manali and less touristy spots nearby. With that done, we proceeded towards Rohtangla. The drive to Rohtang Pass has some promising views. It is serene, and there is a comfort in just being there and sipping hot tea, just like those winter mornings.
So it's been quite a fun-filled experience for us. We covered some treacherous terrains, some awesome roads, and I went paragliding. I was literally in the sky. Now, it was also quite a warm-up session because we are proceeding ahead from Manali. We are heading towards Chandratal now, and from here the adventure begins. The final stop today will be in Losar. We are just going on a crawling speed because we have started off-roading, and I'm quite happy with the way the Safari has been performing. And there's a slight problem that I face with the low-end torque in the normal mode, but the difference just when you switch to the sport mode is quite perceptible. It makes up for that low-end loss and it gives you a good meaty mid-range. So you have enough power to take on these terrains.
Yes, the Tata Safari took all in its stride quite handsomely. The drive modes on the new Tata Safari come really handy when you need that extra thrust from the super refined Cryotech engine on these challenging terrains, and then it has enough ground clearance and approach and departure angles to take on the rough. The convoy was literally marching into the wild, surrounded by mountains, and honestly, it felt deserted. But the moment you reach Chandratal, you feel a relishing freshness in the air. The lake is in the foothills of the Lahore Valley. Now, we were off to Losar, crossing Kunzum Pass on the way, which is the highest pass on earth.
So it was a rather long drive yesterday and a challenging one because for the most part of it involved off-roading. We started from Manali, went straight to Chandratal Lake, and then we ended our day here in the Spiti Valley. Here we'll be spending the day in the Spiti Valley. We'll be going towards Kibber, and then we'll be going to the Key Monastery, which is one of the oldest monasteries in the Spiti Valley and a beautiful one.
Spiti looks different and full of life at this time of the year. Rivers are flowing and the Kaza market is blooming for the longest hour of the day. We first went to the beautiful Key Monastery and then we came to Kaza. After lunch, we proceeded towards Hikkim to send a postcard to our loved ones from the highest post office on earth.
So it's our last day in the Spiti Valley today, and yesterday we got the chance to see Spiti Valley in detail. Now we have ended our day in Kibber. Today we are proceeding towards Nako, and the convoy, even us, we get a bit tired because of the long drive. But when you wake up to a view like this, it makes up for everything. So we are at the iconic Chicham Bridge, and throughout we have covered some treacherous terrains in the Spiti Valley, and I'm quite surprised with how the Safari has been performing so far. I haven't faced any power issues as such yet, and that sports mode, it gives you that additional thrust on the go, and that's very reassuring. Even when it comes to the comfort, we have been quite happy because the seats are well cushioned and even the second row is very comfortable. We are traveling with a crew, we have 5 on board and we have luggage. So it's a jam-packed car, but it has been performing very well so far.
In Nako, we were putting up in Turkish tents and the entire night was spent chilling by the bonfire and gazing at the Milky Way galaxy. Oh boy, the sky was so mystical, I could have kept staring at the sky the whole night. But we were to push early towards Chitkul the next day. Safari offers a wonderful mix of comfort, entertainment and connectivity. It is loaded to the gills with modern age creature comforts, and my favorite has to be these ventilated seats that keep me cool when the sun is at the top. On our way back to Chandigarh, the Tata Motors team pulled off a wonderful surprise and took us to Jungle Safari in Solan, giving us the opportunity to have some fun with our SUVs. Yes, the last week has been quite something. We literally went places and the roads leading to them were challenging to say the least. And this is exactly where the Safari proved its mettle. It sits very well at higher speeds and is in its element when the going gets tough. Perhaps the best companion one could have got for this iconic Himalayan drive. And the drive itself was a perfect blend of composure and adventure, where days were spent exploring new destinations or indulging in some fun and exciting activities, making us step out of our comfort zone and push the limits. And last but not the least, it gave us a sense of togetherness where strangers from different parts of the country lived like a family, dancing and driving together.
That is a wrap here on C&B. Please react to everything you've seen and anything you'd like to see. Tell us that as well. Promise me you'll wear your seatbelts front or back in a car and your helmets front or back. Join me next week.